we're back for part 2. Today we're going to start with some decaling. So we've got this rear diffuser on the bottom chassis of the car. We've got the front and rear bumpers to do and the wing mirrors as well. Now, in the decal set for the kit are these horrendous luminous green decals, which we're not going to use, but they are pre-cut for the diffuser. So we're going to use them as templates and cut them out on our decal film and then use that to apply them in place. So standard decal procedures: in the water, get it off the backing paper, pop it in place, burnish it down, get the excess moisture out from the back and hit it with some ultimate decal solutions. We're going to start with the strong and work our way up to the extra strong at the end, because I've used these decals many times in the past and know exactly what it needs. So get them in place. Like I said, we're cutting it to size so they near enough fit exactly. It's just getting them to fit to the non-uniform curves of the diffuser. But pretty simple to do, a lot easier than doing it all by hand. So I think the luminous green's pretty hideous. Obviously, if it's your taste, it's your taste. But for me, it doesn't belong on an Aston Martin at all. And as you can see, all the little fins are shaped as well. So each one is there. So we're going to cut them out and get them all in place. I'm not going to show every one because there's a lot of them on this. But just to give an idea, we've got the larger pieces that we cut off and placed on the flat surfaces, and each one of the rib has one of these angle pieces that just goes in the top and hit it with a bit of solution, and as if like magic, it all blends in place. And then in between each one are these straight pieces as well. And if you keep the weave all the same direction, you won't even notice the joint. So it's a nice little trick to do, and using those decals that come with the kit is a nice bonus as well. So snip off any excess. You may find some just needs a little snip around a corner as well. Off screen, unfortunately. I do apologise. Happens from time to time. And then burnish it down with the pen, nice and gentle, and the decal solutions too. There we go. Job done, and we'll repeat that for all the back end of that diffuser. The front end's a bit more difficult to do. So this has to be pieced in several pieces. So like I say, as long as you line the weave up, you can join parts and it's not really noticeable at all. If you do it properly, make sure it's all angled right, you'll get a good join nobody will really see. So just take your time, work your way around. It can be a bit monotonous. You can see just how much carbon I've actually used on the bench doing these front and rear pieces in the diffuser, but it's worth doing because it adds to the overall look of the car. To get underneath it, we're going to just trace around it with a mechanical pencil on the back edge of the decal. We'll cut that out and it should roughly be to shape where we want it, because we don't want this to fold over the front and ruin our hard work there. We just want it to meet it. So we're going to cut this out and then get this in place as well. So a nice little trick, does the job, but you do use and waste quite a bit of decal film doing this. You can see just how much I've used on the bench, but all those little pieces you can see at the top right a little bit by the decal tray. Keep all those, put them in a bag. Never waste any piece of carbon film. You never know when that smallest little piece will be useful. So don't throw any of them away. And like I say, if you need to piece areas, you can. It's very helpful for doing this, even stuck to the tweezers. Onto the interior, we have got some decals in place. We've got the black trim in place as well. We did in Napa Black. So they've just all been cut off the resin and glued in place. Nice and simple. We've got the instruments going in now, so several decals going in here. So as usual, instructions, as vague as they are from off models, and real life references are a well welcomed addition as well. We can get all the decals on the dashboard, the interior and the wheels as well, because these are going to be clear coats. We're going to gloss coat the wheels and we're going to semi gloss coat the interior as well, because it'll take that shine off and make it look a lot more realistic. So just take your time with these parts. Make sure you get everything set, especially if you're going to clear parts as well. Make sure you get all the moisture out from behind them because it will silver and show. And of course, in with the strong decal solution to set everything in place. Nice and simple, works really well. There we go. On the steering wheel, there is an Aston Martin logo for the very centre and also this silver trim for the exterior. Now, this is just a peel off metallic decal. So it peels off the backing sheet and we place it where required, and then we can pop the water slide decal in the centre too. burnish those down properly with a cotton bud. Now the mistake I did make was put that silver decal on before clear coat, because you don't want to satin coat that. There's my flocked interior, which looks flocking awesome. Flock, yeah. Look at that. Flock. Black flocking from Pro Scale looks absolutely superb, especially on this nice Bordeaux red. We're going to glue the seats together, so a couple of dabs of clear glue on the back. They're all locating points. One of mine snapped off, unfortunately. So we're going to have to wing this by eye. It's this one I'm doing now, but fairly easy to get straight. Hold for a few seconds and let the super glue get a bite on the part. There we go. Like I said, we're going to give all this a semi-gloss coat to get rid of that sheen. I know a lot of people like the sheen. I don't. Proper leather doesn't have a high shine to it, just has a satin look to it. So we're going to satin matte it. Before that, though, we're going to give it a Tamiya black panel line wash to accentuate all the recessed detail on it. So just touch and let the capillary action carry it through. Then we'll let that dry for half an hour and wipe off any excess. Same on the dash. There we go. And the seats as well. And like I say, once this is dried, wipe it off. It will add an extra bit of interest to the seat by making the recessed areas pop, and it'll also stain the seat a touch as well. We don't want to do it a lot, but it will alter the tone and make it look a bit less monotone. So it is worth doing. Another step worth doing. And like I say, we're putting enamel wash over lacquer paint, so there's no harsh reaction at all. So it is pretty safe to use as well. Lots of PE in this kit. So we're going to get it all cut off and then clean it all up and mount it on this reverse taped masking tape on the tongue depressor, ready for primer. But there is a lot of it on the kit. I think there's 4 or 5 frets of PE. So we've got the carbon brakes, we've got the centers for them, we've got these flappy paddle gearboxes, the radiator, number plates. There's lots for this. So work your way through the instructions as I'm doing here, looking at the parts. Now what is laughable, on that rear diffuser there's 2 bits of PE that go in it, and I didn't show it in the video. For some reason I didn't catch it. But there's 2 little molds for helping shape the mesh, and it doesn't even touch. Goes nowhere near the PE. Completely useless. Completely just absolute waste of time. Now we've got a special part here for Mr. Harford, who is obsessed with window wipers. So here's some window wipers in close-up detail. And yes, here we go. Just for you, Philip, because I know you love your window wipers. Whether you're going to watch this, I don't know. But this is just for you anyway. So cut off all the parts. Clean them all up as required. And then we've got my Expo tools. Now, I have 2 £20 worth of Tamiya bending pliers. 40 quid's worth in total. And they're useless. They're absolutely the worst Tamiya tool I've ever bought. I've got this cheap set of Expo smooth jaw pliers, which cost me £7. And these things were perfect. Alan Parker put me onto these. And there we go. Just bend it over our finger. You could use a bending machine, but they're quite awkward to do with window wipers because of the shape of them. So I think bending pliers are the way to go. So just bend over the edges. Make sure you go everything the right way around. Refer to instructions. And I have a quick test fit of the arm as it goes in as well. And then with a little dab of glue on the arm, we can slide that in place and let the glue grab a hold. This is Bob Smith's Gold, so it's non-fogging, non-whiting. Just get it in place, hold it for a second or 2, and there we go. There's the main part of the wiper mechanism done. We then grab the blade and put 2 very thin dabs of Bob Smith's Gold on each end. We've ever so slightly curved the arm as well, as you can see. Orientate it the right way. We need steady hands here. Need to line up each end to get the blade centralized. There's a little groove in the PE. Once you got it in, let it grab for a second or 2 and then let it go. You need very good hand-eye coordination to do this. There we go. Happy for that. Give it a second or two to dry. And there is one of the 2 window wipers done. So there you go, Mr. Harford. Hope you found that useful. There's one wiper blade done. Perfect. So we do the other one as well. And then onto the mesh grill at the front. Another piece Mr. Harford was very interested in seeing, although it's not very complicated at all. It's 4 pieces of PE, the main grill, and 3 surrounds. So we're just going to cut them all out and clean them up as per standard. Now this is brass PE, so it's a little bit softer than the other PE. So take your time with this stuff. The Zoran PE pliers are absolutely fantastic. One of my favourite tools until they stab you in the hand. And like I said, we just go through and cut all the bits off. And then roughly on the very outside edge of the main piece, we're going to put some Bob Smith's glue very sparingly using our precision nozzles. Then get these orientated the correct way. I think it's that way. I was looking at the instructions, is it? Is that right? Let's find a different one. There we go, that one looks a bit better. And then I'm just going to line up one edge. Get that in place first. And then apply a little bit of glue on the back edge as well. I literally glued one side first and then the other. Now the nature of PE is quite springy, so you may need to hold one side whilst you push the other one down. I'm off camera again, I do apologise. It just happens from time to time because I'm zoomed in on the main camera. But just look for areas where you get no contact from the PE, where there's no glue, and just put a little dab of glue in. Any excess glue we can remove later on with acetone, so it's not a problem. And once you've got enough glue in there, get your tweezers and clamp it all in place. And there we go, there's one piece. Fairly happy with that. Minimal glue spillage, but anything there is there we can get off with some acetone. Same with the next one, just a piece of another piece of PE to go over the top. So a few dabs of glue over the top of the first piece we put on. We're not putting a lot of glue on at all. We don't want loads of it. There we go. Line it up. There we go. Just keep touching with tweezers, pushing it down until the glue grabs it. You get a bit of working time with the Bob Smith, which is always good. Just keep pinching it until it's all glued in place. Like I say, you do get a bit of working time with the Bob Smith, so you can move it around. Key thing is make sure it's all nice and straight. Same on the very last piece as well. That's it. Just use your fingers to clamp it until the glue gets its bite. And there we go. There's our grill assembled. A few little places to glue still. Oh, including the tweezers to the grill. But there we go. We've all pushed in place. Pretty much perfect. Not bad at all. Quite happy with this. It's gone on really well. Like I say, we do get the excess glue. We've got a couple of little dabs at the top you just need to wipe off. We get rid of our pointed cotton bud, some acetone, and wipe it off. Acetone will remove super glue. So just take your time and carefully wipe off any excess. Doesn't need a lot of pressure at all. Just keep the tip nicely moistened. Don't put too much on. You don't want to capillary reaction into the PE because it'll separate the parts again. But there we go. Not bad at all. Quite happy with that. Went really well. Nice and simple, really. There is a resin grill in the kit should you want to use that, but I don't think I'd hear the end of it if I did. So I thought I'd go with the PE straight away. It's going to need rolling a little bit at the end just to put a little bit of a curve in it to get it into the grill itself. And there's a nice bit of acetone on my mat. But for all intents and purposes, that is done. So just needs priming along with the other PE bits and we can get this painted. But No real bother to do this, nice and simple. Just take your time, don't damage the parts, and there you go. Seats, we can get all the wash out as well with different cotton buds, not the ones we use for the Aston, because that'll take the paint straight off. So go with the cotton bud with some Santador and then a clean piece of tissue to wipe off any excess, like so. They can all be left to dry then fully. Anyway, we're in the booth. Looks like a bomb's gone off in here of an explosion of kitchen paper. We've got from Pro Scale Photo Etch Primer now through the HPC Plus at about 18 psi. And this is the perfect primer for photo etch. I find it makes it a lot more resilient to scratches and losing paint. So let's give it a couple of coats of this, getting all those nooks and crannies and all the angles. And then we can come in with our colour of choice, which will be LP5 on this, I believe. But we can paint all these parts up. So the grill and then all the discs and other components we've got on the separate tongue depressor. Like I say, it's thin for the airbrush, straight out the airbrush, works perfect, and makes the photo etch a lot more resilient when you're handling it, because nothing's worse than chipping photo etch. It chips really easily, and this definitely helps solve that problem. Window wipers, exactly the same. Giving a couple of coats of this. And there we go. That dries super quick. It's almost dries instantly, this stuff. So by the time you clean the airbrush out, you're ready to put your base colour down. So we're going to clear coat our calipers in some Mr. Hobby Super UV Cut Clear. So a couple of coats on each one. We'll sort that out. Nice and simple, quick and easy. No decals for the calipers, which is a little bit disappointing. So I didn't put neon on this, but hey, it is what it is. And then several coats on the wheels as well. Like I said, we're going to spin them around as we go. Probably 3 or 4 coats on the wheels to get full coverage because of all the angles. And 2 or 3 coats on the calipers as well, just to build it up nicely. There we go. Let it flash off for 5-10 minutes each time. Obviously, we've got front and rear calipers. There's also a handbrake caliper, which we're just going to leave in matte black. And like I say, 4 or 5 coats on the wheels because of all the angles and recesses. And there we go. Nice job done. The Super Clear is thinned with Mr. Hobby Leveling Thinner. That's 60% thinner to paint. That works really well. And then we've got the same Mr. Hobby Super UV Cut Semi-Gloss. And we're going to give all the leather a semi-gloss coat to take that high shine away. I do have a comparison in a minute. Whether you'll see any difference, I don't know. I can. It just gives it a much more uniform look. Just takes all that massive high shine off. So I believe the one on the left is gloss, the one on the right is semi-gloss, and you can see the difference. I can anyway. And like I said, we're going to go around all the parts. We've got the speaker grill decal in there as well. And our panel wash is all dried and been removed too. There we go. Just a couple of light coats of this. Doesn't take a lot. We don't need any wet coats for the semi-gloss. Same on the dash as well. So we've got our steering wheel in place, the columns in place as well. So fun fact, I forgot to put the flabby paddle gearbox in place. So we're going to cut those off later and stick them in the side. The holes are there, so we'll just cut them off later and put them in place. The discs, we're going with carbon ceramic. So we've got Pro Scale carbon ceramic paint. I think this is the first time I actually tested it here. Might not be actually thinking about it. I forget now. This video was done a while back because the Aston's been knocking around for a while. So I can't remember if it was the first time, but here it is going down nevertheless. And once that's dried, we're going to dull coat it again to get rid of any shine off it. So Tesla's dull coat, thin with Mr. Hobby Rapid Thin, about 60% thinner to paint. And a couple of coats of dull coat to take all that sheen off. And while we're here, we'll paint our front grille in LP5 semi-gloss black. And again, that's where we're going to end the video here today. We'll be back in part 3 very soon, and we'll get this beautiful car done and dusted. So let's go back to me.